Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Today I'm going to show you how to make the Groovy Granny headband. This is my newest crochet pattern. It is made up of very little yarn. It's a quick project. It's the perfect thing to make for the summer. It's got little granny squares, join as you go, which don't worry if that's a bit intimidating. I will walk you through every step. Some scallops. It's the perfect little summer piece, honestly. So let's go ahead and get started. To make this headband, you will need a few different colors of a weight 2 yarn, preferably a cotton blend. I just like the way that those drape. So I am using the Hobby Twister Solid in a few colors, as well as the Hobby Friends Wheel yarn. These were kindly gifted to me for this project, but this is not a sponsored video, so don't worry. I actually like to use a lot of different colors. You can even see in this one I've used purples, and they're all different. But today I'm just using these 4 colors. You will need at least 4 colors, I would say, but you can do whatever. You can even make it a solid color if you want. You will need those. You will also need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. A measuring tape is optional, but this is a really good way for you to make sure that your squares are ending up the size that they need to be. And then you will need a 4.5mm hook. So let's go ahead and get started. So to start this headband, we are going to need to make 4 granny squares. We're just making really small ones. They're only going to be 3 rounds. So you will need your 3 colors, and let's go ahead and get started with the very center. With your first color, we are going to go ahead and make a magic ring. So we're going to grab the yarn, wrap it around those 2 fingers, make an X towards us, turn our fingers around. There should be 2 parallel lines. We'll grab our hook, go underneath that first line, grab the second one, and pull the second one through. And then we'll grab it, and that is your magic ring. And then we're going to go ahead and chain 2. Now this does count as your first stitch. So we'll chain 1, chain 2. So now we're going to make our first double crochet cluster. So we're going to place 2 more double crochet into this magic ring. So double crochet is yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. We have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2. Now we just need 1 more, so yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on the hook right there, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we have 3 double crochets. Remember that first chain 2 does count as your first stitch. So we have 3 double crochets. I'm going to go ahead and make my magic ring a little bit smaller. You can do that by grabbing your loose end and just pulling on it. And now we are going to chain 1. And that's going to make our corners. So we're going to make a total of 4 sets of these double crochet clusters. So we currently have 1, we need 3 more. So we're going to place another 3 double crochet into the magic ring. Here's 1. Here's 2. Here's 3. And that's our second cluster. And then we're going to again chain 1. We're going to place another cluster of 3 double crochet. So now we have our third one. You can see here's our first, our second. Well, this is the first right here. Then we have our second, and then this is our third. Then we will chain 1. I'm going to tighten my circle just a little bit more. And then we do 1 more cluster. So another 3 double crochets. So So now you should have 4 clusters of 3 double crochets. So we have one right here, then we have another one right here with a chain 1 in the middle. Then again, we have a chain 1 right here. There's our third cluster. Here's the chain 1 right here, and then here's our fourth one. To finish this off, what we're going to do is take this loose piece right here, and we're going to pull that until our magic ring is tightened up. You want to close that hole. Once you've tightened your magic ring there, we are going to slip stitch into the first stitch, so that top of our chain 2, we will insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through again. And then I like to just secure it with a chain 1, and then we will cut our yarn. You can pull it through, tighten it, and you have your first round of your granny square. I like to weave in my ends as I go, so you can do that right now as well. So now that you've woven in all of your ends, we're going to go and work on the second round. You're going to try to find your chain 1 corners. So there's 1, there's 2 here. There should be one where you left off, and then 1 more. And you're going to pick one of those. I try to go into a different one than the one I ended in, just so I avoid any spiraling. So I'm going to go into the one across from it. I'm going to insert my hook into that space. And then I'm going to take my second color. I'm using this baby pink color. And I'm going to attach my yarn to my piece. So I'm just going to lay my yarn over. I have a short end and then my working yarn. And I'm going to pull up a loop. So there's my loop. And we need to chain 2. So what I like to do to secure my yarn is I will grab both my working yarn and that short piece of yarn, and I will wrap it around my hook, and then I will chain. So that's my first chain. And then I will drop the short piece of yarn. Keeping my working yarn, I will chain 1 more. So now it's secure on there. I'm also going to be working over, I'm going to be crocheting over this short piece. You don't have to, you can just weave in your ends at the end, but I'm just going to crochet over it. So we've done 2 chains, and that does count as our first double crochet. And we need a total of 3, so we need to do 2 more into that same space. So that same chain 1 space, we will place 2 more double crochet. So now we have 3 double crochet in that chain 1 space. But this is our corner, so we need to turn it into a corner. And with that, we will chain 1. I'm going to scoot these over just a little so I have more room. And into this same chain 1 space that we are already working in, we're going to place 3 double crochets. So for a total, you will have 6 double crochets in this space with a chain 1 in the middle. So go ahead and place 3 more double crochets into that space. And now you should have your first corner done. You can see we have our chain 2 over here with 2 more double crochet. There's a chain 1 in the middle, and then another double crochet cluster, all in that same space. Continuing on, we're going to find our other chain 1 space, the one that's right after, and we are going to place 3 double crochets into that space. And then again, this is a corner space, so we will chain 1, and then we will place 3 more double crochets into that same space. So now you should have 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet in the first corner, and then 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet into that next corner. And you're going to do that for the other 2 corners, and I will meet you back once we finish that last corner. You will place 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet in both of those corners. Once you've gone all the way around, you should have 4 sets of 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet in each of your corners. And to finish off this round, we are just going to slip stitch to that first stitch that we made. And then go ahead and cut your yarn, and then weave in your ends to finish this round. So now you should see your little square is starting to take form. We have one more row to do. We're going to, again, place our hook into one of the corners. Could be any of them. I try to stay away from the one that I left off on, so I'm going to go into the chain 1 space in this corner, place my hook, and then I will grab my third color, which I'm using this orange color, and we're going to attach our yarn the same way. So you attach your yarn and then make sure that you chain 2, and that does count as your first double crochet. Since this is a corner, we are going to do 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, all into that same space. So this is our chain 2 that counts as our first stitch. We need 2 more double crochet. There's our first cluster. Then we will chain 1 to make it a corner space. And then we will place 3 more double crochet into that same space. So now you have your first corner done. We're going to jump into this middle gap right here, and we're going to crochet into that space. In that space, we're just going to place 3 double crochet all into that same space. So now you should have 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet in your corner, and then 3 double crochet into that middle space. We are then going to jump into the next corner, and since it's a corner space, we will be placing 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet into that space. So now for this first side, you should have 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet into the corner, 3 double crochet into the middle, and then 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next corner. And you're going to repeat this all the way around. So the next space, you go into the middle, place 3 double crochet. In every corner, you will place 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, all the way around until we get to this middle piece. And that final middle one, obviously, you will put 3 double crochet, and then we will meet up once you get there. Once you have gone all the way around, you finish with your 3 double crochets in that last middle space here. You're going to finish off the round by just slip stitching into that first stitch and then fastening off. And then go ahead and weave in your ends. So now you should have a finished little square. You can double check to make sure that it's the correct size. Yep, just about 2¼ inches. And you will go ahead and make 4 of these in total. And then once you've done that, we will meet up again to join them all together. Once you have all 4 of your granny squares done, it's time to join them together. We will be doing the join as you go method. That might seem a bit intimidating, but I promise it's a lot easier once you figure it out. So I will be walking you through every single step, so don't worry. But let's join these together. Let's take our first granny square, and we will be working into this one first. So with your first granny square, we're going to attach our border color. I will be using this green, but you can use whatever color. We're going to go into one of the corners of our granny square. So just like before, we're going to attach our yarn the same way, and you will chain 2. Now this chain 2 does count as your first double crochet. So we're going to place 2 more double crochets into that same corner space. Once you've done that, we are going to skip doing the chain 1 and then 3 more into this. We will be doing that at the very end. So we have our 3 double crochets in that first corner space. We're going to jump into this next space right here and place 3 double crochets. And then we'll go into the next space, place 3 double crochets. Now we are at our next corner. This will be a regular corner space. So you will place 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets into the corner. So go ahead and do that. So now we're going to go along the top, go into the next space, place 3 double crochet, Then into the next space, we will place 3 double crochet. So now we're at our next corner. We're going to again place 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet into that space. So go ahead and do that. So now we are at the next side, into the next space, place 3 double crochet, then into the next space, place 3 double crochet. So now we are at our final corner, and in this corner, we are not doing a full corner, just like at the very beginning. We're just going to place 3 double crochet into that last space there. So go ahead and do that. So now your square should look like this. So you have 3 sides done, with your first one being only 3 double crochets, and then your last one being 3 double crochets. So this is where we are going to join in our next granny square. So go ahead and grab it. And we're going to be joining it in just like this, basically. We're going to be going back and forth into each of the spaces with both of these squares. So with your first square, you're going to chain 1 and then turn so that the wrong side of the square is facing you. Go ahead and grab your second granny square. Make sure that the wrong side is facing the wrong side of your first granny square. And we are going to place 3 double crochet into the corner space of our second granny square. So we're just going to yarn over, insert into that corner of the second granny square, just like that, and then place 2 more for a total of 3. So now when you take it apart from each other, it will look like this. I'm going to attempt to keep both of these together. It might be a little bit difficult. I might end up holding it a little bit like this. It's going to get a little bit finicky, but that's okay. So now that we've done our 3 double crochets into the corner of the second granny square, we need to connect it to our first granny square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that first space right here. So this is where we left off. Here's another cluster right here. We're going to go into the space in between those, and we're going to place a slip stitch. So like I said, it might get a little bit finicky, but just kind of have to maneuver it around. Make sure that both of your squares are facing right sides up, and we are just going to, I like to grab the yarn going down and then just slip stitching into that space. So let me show you what that looks like now. So now you can see this is where our 3 double crochet, our 3 double crochet are on the first square. Here's that chain 1 right in between, and then 3 double crochet on our second square. And then we have gone in between these 2 clusters right here, right into this space, and placed a slip stitch. And that's how we're going to connect them together. So now we are going to place 3 double crochets into the second granny square, into the next space. So go ahead and place 3 double crochet into that space. And then now we need to connect back to our first one. So we went into this one first, into that space in between our first and second clusters. Now we're going to go into the space between the second and third clusters on our first granny square, and we will place a slip stitch. So again, might be a little bit finicky, but I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to grab it facing down and then just slip stitch. I'll show that again. I'm going to go into the space, pull my yarn a little bit tighter. I'm going to grab the yarn facing my hook down, and then I'm going to just pull it through for a slip stitch. So you can see here that we are joining them together. So next, we're going to look at our second square. And in that next space, we're going to place 3 double crochet. So there's my 3. And then we need to connect it to our first one again. So we're going to find that next space. So here's that second and third cluster that we just did. We're going to look at the third and the fourth cluster. In between that, that's where we will place our slip stitch. So go ahead and do that. Same as before. I'm just going to, I have my hook inserted. I'm going to grab the yarn and pull it up. So now we have a slip stitch. So now we are at the corners for both of our squares. In this corner here, on our second square, we will place 3 double crochets. So go ahead and do that. So now that we've done our 3 double crochets into the corner of the second square, we need to connect it to the first square. So we're going to find where our chain 1 space is in that corner. So right here. And we are going to place a slip stitch into the corner of our first granny square. So right here is where I'm going to go. And again, we're going to place a slip stitch right in there. So now we have officially finished attaching 2 squares together. So we don't even have to worry about this first granny square anymore. We are just going to focus on the second one. So our next step is to chain 1. And then we need to finish off this corner space of our second granny square. So go ahead into the same corner space that we went into, place 3 more double crochets. So now you can see we've got this completely attached with slip stitches. And at this very top piece, we have a chain 1 and then corner space, corner space. So now you're going to continue placing 3 double crochets into the corner spaces in between, and then 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet into this corner. Go back down, and then when you get to your very last corner, you will only place 3 double crochets into that last corner. So go ahead and continue all of this until you get to your corner, and I will meet you back there. So now I'm at the final corner here. I'm going to place only 3 double crochets into this corner. So you should have something looking like this, where you have 3 sides done of each square, with that last one being undone. We're going to now join our third square. So to join our third square, we're going to chain 1 and turn. We'll grab the third square, and then we will place 3 double crochets into the corner space of our third square. So we've got 3 double crochets in that corner. We will not be doing the full corner space. We are going to slip stitch into the first space between our first and second cluster on the second square. So I'll insert my hook into that space, and then I will grab my yarn and then just slip stitch into that space. So you can see that we are connected. And then we will go back to our next granny square. Into the next space, we'll place 3 double crochet. And then we will need to connect it with a slip stitch again. So we're going to go into this between the second and third cluster. So there's a second and third. Going to go in between and place a slip stitch. So there we go. Back to our next granny square. Into the next space, we will place 3 double crochet. And then onto our second granny square, we are going to go between the third and the fourth clusters. We're going to go into that space in between, and we're going to place a slip stitch. And then into this corner space of our third square, we will place 3 double crochets. And then again, we're going to find the corner space of our second square. There's that chain one space in the corner. We will place a slip stitch right into that corner. So now these two are connected with the join as you go method. And then we will again chain one and place 3 more double crochets into the corner space of our third square. So now you have 3 squares joined together. Go ahead and continue that same pattern of 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets into the spaces in between. That first corner, we're going to put 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, and then we will go into the next spaces, place 3 double crochet, and into that final corner, we will place 3 double crochet, and I will meet you back when we get there. So now I'm at this final corner of my third square, so I'm going to place 3 double crochets into that corner. Then we will chain 1 and turn, grab our final square, and into the corner of the final square, we will place 3 double crochets. Into the space between the first and the second cluster on our third square, we're going to place a slip stitch. And then into the next space on our final square, place 3 double crochet. Once you've done that, we're going to slip stitch into the space between the second and the third clusters. So place a slip stitch into that. And then into the next space on your final square, place 3 double crochet. Into the space between the third and the fourth cluster of the third square, place your slip stitch. And then into that corner of your final square, place 3 double crochet. And then into the corner of your third square, where that chain 1 space is, place your slip stitch. And then you will chain 1 and place 3 more double crochet into the corner of the final square. So now all of your squares are connected, and you're just going to continue with that same pattern along this edge of your final square. And once you get to this last corner here, you are going to do a full corner, and then we're going to continue going along the bottom. I will show you that though. So go ahead, do this last little bit here, and I will meet you back at this corner. So I've just gotten to that final corner, and instead of doing what we've been doing where we've only done 3 double crochet into that stitch, we're going to do a full corner. So that will be 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, all into that corner space. So go ahead and do that. Once you've done that corner, you're going to start going along our unworked edge here. So in the next 2 spaces right here in between, place 3 double crochets in each of those. Once you've done those 2 spaces there, we are now at the next corner of our square here, and we only have half of the corner done, so we need to do the other half. So into that corner, we're going to place 3 double crochet. And then we will chain 1. And then to fully finish it off, there's a little space here in between where our 2 squares are connected. Into that space, we're going to place a single crochet. Just like that. And now we can work on our next square. Just like before, this corner space is still unfinished, so we need to finish it. So we are going to chain 1 and then place 3 double crochet into that corner space to finish it off. Now we're on to the next square. Into the next 2 spaces right here, you will place 3 double crochets into each of those. Once you've done that, we have to finish this corner. So go ahead and place 3 double crochets into that corner space, and then chain 1, and then in between where our 2 squares are connected, go ahead and place a single crochet. And then chain 1. Now we're on to the next square. Into the next corner, we're going to place 3 double crochet, and then into the next 2 spaces, we will place 3 double crochets into each space. Now we're at the next corner. We're going to place 3 double crochets into that corner, and then we will chain 1, and then in between where our squares are attached, we're going to place a single crochet. Then we will chain 1 and place 3 double crochets into that next corner, and then into the next 2 spaces, we will place 3 double crochets into each space. Now we're at our final corner here. We're just going to finish it off with 3 double crochets, and then chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch of our 3 double crochets. So now you should have all of your squares attached. So our next step is to work on the cute little scallop edging. So now we're going to work on the scalloped edging. We are first going to chain 2, and then we are going to place into this corner right here that we just finished, we're going to place 2 more double crochet. Once you've placed your 2 double crochet, you should have 3 double crochet counting that chain 2 as your first one. So now we are going to skip the next stitch and go into the next stitch and place a slip stitch. Just like that. And then into the next space here, we will place 3 double crochet. Just like what we did before, we're going to skip the next stitch, go into the next stitch, and place a slip stitch. And we'll do that again. So 3 double crochet into the next space, skip the next stitch, place a slip stitch into the next stitch. This next part, even though we're at a corner, it's basically the same. So into this space here, we will place 3 double crochet. Then we will skip the next stitch, place a single crochet into the next stitch. This next slip stitch that we just did should be right before your chain 1 space in the corner. So now your corner, or this first edge, should look like this. So now we're going to work along this long side here. So we're going to turn just so that we are in position for that. And then into the chain 1 space of this corner, so that corner space that we left off at, we will place 3 double crochet. And then we will continue that same thing. So skip the next stitch, slip stitch into the next stitch. And you're going to continue with 3 double crochet in the spaces, skip the next stitch, and then slip stitch into the next stitch, all the way until you are about to do this corner over here. So I will meet you back when we get there. So I'm at my corner here. I'm just going to do 3 double crochet into this space here, just like we have been doing. And then I will again skip the next stitch, place a slip stitch into the next stitch. So now you should have something that looks like this. So now we are right at our connection point. You can see here's where we did our join. And at this point, this is where it might be a little bit confusing, but I will try to explain this the best that I can. we are going to place 3 double crochet into that single crochet that we placed from our last row. So you can see here's my space here, and then right here is my single crochet. So I'm going to place 3 double crochet into that single crochet stitch. It might be a little bit of a tight squeeze, but go ahead and place 3 double crochet into your single crochet. So now you can see I've done my 3 right into that single crochet. I'm not in the actual space, but I'm in the single crochet. And then you will go ahead and place your slip stitch. So you'll skip the next stitch, place your slip stitch into the next stitch, the one that's right before the next space will be your slip stitch. And then you're going to continue with 3 double crochet into the space. Skip, then slip stitch, 3 double crochet, skip, and then slip stitch, 3 double crochet, skip, and then slip stitch. And then again, once you get to your connection, you will place 3 double crochet into the single crochet that you placed. And then you will skip the next stitch and then single crochet into the next one. And then you will continue that same pattern going all the way to your next corner. And I will meet you back over here. So I've just gotten to my next corner. I'm going to place my slip stitch like normal. And then we're going to continue the same way that we did before. So this corner space, we're going to place 3 double crochet. We're going to turn to work along this short side. And then we will skip the next stitch, place a slip stitch into the next stitch. And then again, 3 double crochet into the next space, skip, and then slip stitch. And you will do that until you get to the next corner. So now I'm at the next corner. I'm going to place my slip stitch like usual. And then same thing in this corner space right here, we will place 3 double crochet into the corner space, turn to work along the next side, skip the next stitch, place a slip stitch. And then you're just going to continue the same thing that we did on this first side, do the same thing on this side. Remember that when you get to your connection points here, to place your 3 double crochet into that single crochet. So I'll show you once more. So in this first space, we'll place 3 double crochet, skip, then slip stitch, 3 double crochet into the next space, then we'll skip and then slip stitch, then again 3 double crochet, and then skip, slip stitch. Once you've placed your slip stitch, you're going to find that single crochet, which is right here. Might be a little bit hard to see. So here's our single crochet. We're going to place our 3 double crochets into that single crochet. Once you've done that, you're going to skip the next stitch, then slip stitch into the next. And then again, you will just continue with 3 single crochets in all the spaces, skip the next stitch, slip stitch into the next stitch, remembering that you need to place 3 double crochets into, or the single crochet in between, and then continue that all the way until we get to the end, and I will meet you back there. So I've just done my last 3 double crochet right here. I'm going to place my slip stitch, and then we are going to slip stitch to our first scallop, that first stitch of the first scallop, and then you can chain 1 and then fasten off. Once you have fastened off and you have woven in all of your ends, your piece should look like this. At this point, you can decide if you want to just insert right here, right in between these 2 scallops, make a chain, and then do the same thing on the other side, and you can just wear it just like that. I like to do a little tapered edge, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So to do this tapered edge, you will need to look at one of the short sides. You will see that in the middle there are 3 scallops. We're going to attach our yarn to the first scallop, so this one right here, and it's going to be the first stitch of this scallop. So this one right here. So you have, there's 1, 2, 3, I guess it's the third stitch, huh? So you're gonna attach your yarn to that third stitch of the first scallop. And I'm going to be attaching it the same way that I have been. Then you will chain 1. Now we are going to place 3 double crochets into the little space in between these 2 scallops. So you can see there's like a little hole right here that we're going to go into and place 3 double crochets. So go ahead and do that. So now I have my 3. We're going to skip the next stitch and then slip stitch into the next stitch. And then again into the space in between these 2 scallops. So you can see right there, we're going to place 3 double crochets. And then again, we're going to skip this stitch and then slip stitch into the next one. So you will have made 2 scallops. So now we will chain 1 and we will turn our work. And then we're going to look at these 2 scallops that we just made. There is a little hole, might be a little bit hard to see, but there's a hole in between. This one right here. It's also like you could also probably go into one in between there, but I'm going to go into this hole and we will place 3 double crochets in between those 2 scallops. So I've just made my 3 double crochets. I'm going to again skip this stitch and go into the last stitch and place my slip stitch. Just like that. So now you should have made 1 scallop. So now we are going to turn our work. We are not going to chain, but we just turn. Might be a little bit hard to see, but you have your 3 double crochets that you made. We are going to slip stitch into the second double crochet. So the double crochet in the middle of your 3, you'll slip stitch. At this point, you are going to want to make your straps, so you can just chain. I do about 55 chains. You can do between 50 and 60 or however long you want it. So go ahead and do that. So I've just finished making my chain. I've done 55 chains. Like I said, you can do between 50 and 60 chains. And now we are simply going to slip stitch along this chain all the way back to where it's attached. So go ahead and do that. I like to slip stitch into the back chains or the back loops. I just think that it looks a little bit nicer, but you can do it however you want. But go ahead and do all of those until you get to the very end, and I will meet you back once we get there. Once you've slip stitched all the way down, you're finally back at the little piece right here. I'm going to slip stitch into this same stitch that it's coming out of, just like that. Then I'll chain 1 and then fasten off. And there's your tapered piece. You can go ahead and weave in your ends. And then you're going to repeat the same process on the other side, and then you'll be done. And that's it, everyone. Now you have a super cute headband that you can wear for the summer. It is a super great project to work up. It's super quick. There are so many color combinations that you can do with it, and it's truly just one of my favorite things that I've made so far. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Let me know down below your thoughts, what colors you're going to use for your headband. and any other suggestions for other videos that you would like to see. I would love to know. But I also do have a written version for this. I will link that in the description down below. So if you need a little bit more guidance, that's a great place to look. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was super helpful. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. And I will see you guys in the next video. Happy crocheting!